Okay. Welcome, everybody. This is session 2 of our Information Exchange virtual series. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to have some more people joining in. I see we're up to 38 right now. We're going to have more people joining in, I'm sure. My name is Brendan Kellaway from BCC Software, and we are so grateful, so grateful to have Solimar joining us today. And there's tons of content in this session today. So I'm going to turn it over to Marianne and the crew to introduce themselves in a moment. Before I do, I just want to let everybody know that you all attendees are muted with your cameras off, and we have our chat and our Q&A sections available so that throughout the presentation, if there are certain subject matters that are piquing your interest and you want to know more about, please drop your questions in there and we'll either ping on those questions throughout the presentation when we see them, or at the very end, we'll make sure to get to them during our Q&A session. Without further ado, I'll pass it over to Mary Ann Rowan. Take it away.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much. And good afternoon, good afternoon, almost everyone on. I'm Mary Ann Rowan with Solimar Systems. I'm the Chief Experience Officer. And joining me today are 3 wonderful partners that we work very closely with in different capacities. And so all of us will be contributing to today's talk. We'll be going over a lot of, we'll go over customers and use cases and such, and how they're integrated with BCC. And we're very grateful to be here and grateful to be a sponsor of this great event. So I'll hand it over to Hanson.
Hi, thank you, Marianne. I'm Hanson Longfellow. I'm the president and CEO of Hanson 360. Our team is a services provider, and what we do is we take different types of software, Quadient, BCC partners, Solimar, and we figure out how to automate those systems together and build workflow architectures with the different tools to be able to get things through your factory quickly, but also efficiently, correctly, and meeting client SLAs. So we're really the problem solvers that figure out how to put all these different pieces together and work with our teams and document it for clients. Been doing this for 30 years, and I love a good challenge. Thank you.
All right, Maggie.
Hi, my name is Maggie Curry. I'm the National Sales Manager for Major Accounts Direct at RESO. We are an authorized reseller of Solimar software, and I've been fortunate enough to be working directly with Marianne and her fantastic team at Solimar on a bunch of customer installations. And additionally, we've had the great good fortune of being able to leverage Hanson 360 and their team. So I'm very excited to be on the call today and to get some good questions from you guys and find out what's happening out there. We're always interested in learning more. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Pat McGrew. I'm your information Swiss Army knife. What I do is I do work with Marianne really closely, making sure that we bring the best possible content, market research, information on post, AI, all the emerging technologies, competitive intelligence, and make it available to the Solimar team and also the customers, the customer council team. I get to work with Maggie, I get to work with Hanson, I get to work with Marianne and that whole team, which is a lot of fun. And generally, I'm the phone home alternative. If you have a question and you're part of the family, you call me and I find answers.
Absolutely. Wonderful. All right, let's see. Here we go. I want to make sure this goes forward. Wonderful. So thank you all. So what we're going to cover today is first, I'm going to go over a little bit about Solimar, because not assuming everyone knows us, but we are a 35-year-old software company this year. And so if you've heard of Solimar, you may have older information. We're always developing new things, and we'll go over again some interesting aspects of our products and our customers, how we're integrated with BCC. We have been for many years, and yeah, some customer case studies. And of course, we're going to hear from Pat. She always puts great industry information together for us as well. And so what Pat and I also get to do, as she mentioned, is we get to manage our large customer advisory council. And so what's fun is it's turning more and more global, right, Pat? And very fun to talk to. We know everyone, we know people at all of these companies. Some of them, of course, might directly compete with each other, but they all have the same workflow kind of challenges. And so we love to work with them. We write case studies and blogs and vlogs and all kinds of fun stuff. And we'll hear from 3 of them next week, and we'll be referencing several of the case studies on today's call as well. And so Briefly, our platform is called Chemistry. And so we have basically product components that are integrated together, but they're also modular. So different customers, some customers have all of it, some customers have pieces. And so we're great at filling in gaps in workflow technologies, as well as helping you sunset something you have. We're always encouraging you to, maybe turn to us, turn to Pat before you write something on your own and before you program like a DFE. We want to get away from, customizations. We want things off the shelf, configurable, much better, easier to source, easier to support, and just makes life happier overall. And so again, we'll touch on some of these ideas here. We'll definitely talk about our PDF optimization, kind of our piece level tracking, our mobile visibility, and just some smart ways to, batch jobs and such as well. So we'll be going over several of these things. Sorry, I just have windows popping up here. All right. And so there we go. And so really where Solimar fits is we are considered post-composition. I like to say that we digitally retrofit the data and documents coming in to fit your printers, your finishing, and then also create e-delivery output. So everything that comes in, we kind of take it in, we have an optimization engine, and then again, we make great output that we talk to the DFEs directly, so we know what your cut sheet printer wants, we know what your continuous feed printer wants, we know what your archive system wants, and we can make optimized data. We also have a visibility platform as well, so we can watch every job that comes in, every step along the way, all the way to output and to finishing. So just sort of where we kind of play, kind of under the covers, but optimizing kind of everything is sort of where we are. And so with that, I will invite Pat to tell us a little bit about McGrew Group. And should I forward to the next slide, Pat?
Yeah,
Just
go
jump on
ahead.
in? Okay.
Yeah, let's jump in. So what we do at McGrew Group is we look for information, we curate information, and we try to help provide the best information to the folks we work with. And I like to tell people we don't do the same kinds of projects for any two of our clients because everybody has really unique needs. And the fun thing about working with Solimar is that we get to work with a really vast array of organizations, all different segments, all different problems that they're trying to solve. And we try and keep our finger on the pulse of where the information you need to know is coming from. One of the things we track is privacy legislation because it's the undercover potential risk that you might not be paying a lot of attention to. And so we try to do that for you. Privacy legislation is all that stuff that covers the things like your database of customer information. It's all that private health information, just PII, PHI, all the PFI, all of the PXIs. But it's also how you are allowed to interact with your clients, their customers, and the data that's flowing back and forth. Some states take a really draconian approach to it. Others are more lax, but we're watching a lot of variations in how states think you should manage it. So that's what we try to track. Some of you are members of IAPP, and if you are, that's great because you've probably seen this privacy legislation tracker before, but we know that the vast majority of people we talk to aren't. On the left side is the color-coded map that we started the year with, and if you look on the right side, you'll see the latest one was issued in June, and things do change. When you get this deck, go through the live links on it because it's how you and your team can keep yourselves up to date on what's going on. Because remember that privacy legislation isn't only about what's going on in your state. It's very likely you are doing print and mail out into other states. And those states actually may have something to say about how you manage data as it impacts them as well. So this is our legislation tracker. Hopefully you'll find it useful as well. Marianne, flip the next one because the next one is also, it's of growing importance. There are several of these that we use from some law firms as well as from IAPP. This is a good one because it's publicly available. You don't have to be a member of IAPP to see it. And this is the rising wave of AI governance information. States are getting very concerned about AI, the use of AI, especially with respect to databases of customer information, all the PXI information, and also where AI is being used. And sometimes it's with respect to how it's being used to manage your business, like managing when you hire an employee or when you don't, and if you used AI to make that decision. Some states are not happy about that, or that they're in the process of trying to legislate it. Sometimes it's with respect to how AI is being allowed to access data, and that's a big one for a lot of these states. So again, I encourage you to hit the link on the bottom, go out there, see if your state is legislating, because that will have material effect on you. But also just take a look at what other states are doing, because even if your state is not currently looking at legislating how you manage AI in your business, they probably will be. And there's not really any evidence that the national attempts to regulate things like privacy and AI are going to be part of our lives within the next 12 months. So it's going to be up to the states, which means we have to manage 53 different versions of AI governance and privacy governance, which is the fun of being in print and mail, right? So there we go. Let's look at the next one. And I think you are all probably really familiar with the USPS product management calendar, and we keep track of it, and we have this moving green line that we keep moving across during the year, just as a reminder of what's going on, where you should be paying attention. And you probably all know where to get a hold of this. And if you're part of the Solimar CAC already, you see this all the time. But if you're not familiar with it, if you just type into your favorite search engine, USPS 2026 promotions calendar, or if you're part of Mailcom, you can get it and keep it up to date. But remember that every one of these promotions has rules. And if you don't go by the rules really, really carefully, you could wind up offering a promotion to your customer and submitting it and having it rejected. And nobody wants that to happen. So please pay attention to the rules. And if I'm going at a rapid pace, it's because I'm from Philadelphia and we talk fast. So 2 more slides, and then I'll give you back to the program. Marianne, let's talk a moment about font census. And maybe you haven't been the beneficiary of one of those wonderful monotype Bigfoot letters yet. And maybe you haven't gotten an email that looked like spam from the monotype legal team saying that you owe them money. Thousands of dollars. In one of our clients' cases, it was millions of dollars for use of fonts that they think you owe them for, even if perhaps you really don't. We are encouraging everyone to, even if they haven't gotten that fun email yet, to take a look at their font servers, all the places that they're storing fonts in their universe, and trying to understand what fonts you really can prove you own and which ones you don't. We know it's a big task. So if you need help, give us a call. Drop us a note. Working with Hanson, we've developed a process and a protocol to help discover where all the fonts are in your universe, to help you identify alternatives if you would like to get out of the monotype space entirely, to help you identify fonts you may not realize are actually owned by monotype. And working with Deepak at Hanson, we've gotten really good at this. And so if you need help, let us know. We're here to help. And if you aren't aware of the risk, take a look at this slide when you have a few minutes. And if you have questions, reach out to us. You may not need a font census. You may be in good shape. But most of the people we talk to, it's a little, they're in a bit of a risk territory. So let us help you de-risk yourselves. What I'd like to also remind everyone of, let me go to the next slide before we try to close out here, is that, Solimar and BCC are your path to postal saving. So we've just talked a lot about things like privacy. We've talked about AI. We've talked about fonts and posts and the postal promotional savings. But I think it's really important, and me sitting in as sort of in an analyst chair, I want to remind everybody that if you haven't visited how you are currently managing your postal workflow, this is a really good time to be doing it. It's great that you're sitting on this webinar. Hopefully, the team will see you next week live. But even before you go to the live event and after you listen to this one, take a couple of steps back. Maybe print this slide out and put it on your wall and ask your team if they see any gaps. Are you already handling all the addressing information that you need? Are you already certain that you're doing your CAS and your PAVE certifications in the best possible way? Because if you haven't revisited this particular workflow in the last 12 to 18 months, it's pretty likely that you're not being as efficient as you possibly can. And if you can bring just a little bit more efficiency into this particular workflow, those savings flow back to your bottom line. And we know that for many of you, you keep that. So it flows directly to your bottom line. But even if you're one of those organizations that shares it with your end user, that's still a great story to be telling, that you've become more efficient and you've given them more opportunity. So with that, I'll just close out by reminding everybody that we are here to answer all your questions. Let us know how we can help. We love partnering with everybody. And Marianne, with that, I guess it's time to launch the next section.
Yes, sounds great. Well, yeah, and Pat's very easy to reach, as am I.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you can reach her a plethora of ways. Yeah, it's super helpful in all kinds of things. And again, I'd emphasize a few things. So if you got a monotype font letter, which we did a few years ago, I threw many of these out and I started getting really horrible phone calls, which I also ignored until one day I picked it up to, kind of a threatening person. And then I realized, oh gosh, you think I'm using illegal fonts or fonts from someone else. Anyway, so what happens more often is that, especially PSPs, they get documents in from customers and then you guys store all these fonts, often in many places. And then somehow they figure out that you have stored these fonts. And so it's good to look in ahead of time, because if you got this letter, you can only ignore it for so long. And then
it does look like spam. I will tell you, it really, really does look like spam. And if you, if you're just sitting there sort of happy with your universe and thinking that you're doing everything right, it's really easy to be caught off guard by it. And the thing about monotype is they are wrong more than they are right. So don't just pay them. Let's start there.
Don't pay the bill, definitely. But definitely you have to look into it. And again, what Pat and Hanson can do is help you find these fonts, eliminate duplicates when possible, and even find replacements. Maybe there's almost free TrueTry fonts and stuff. So huge benefit.
We helped get a $4 million bill down to $180,000. And that's the kind of thing that can happen if you wouldn't want to just pay them $4 million.
No. And sometimes too, people buy one font 1 year, but oftentimes these are actually annual subscriptions. And I know someone recently didn't realize that it was an annual subscription and she had to pay for 5 years. So anyway, so good to jump on that ahead of time. And again, we're kind of throwing out a wide net today of all kinds of things to think about. And we have lots of customer use cases that jump on this as well. So thank you so much, Pat. And of course, jump in as we go. And so as Pat kind of showed a good progression of things to look at, it's always good to look at your PDFs. And so not just even fonts, but your actual PDFs. Are you optimizing your PDFs that come in? Because more and more, as you get files that come in from customers, and especially if you're a PSP getting files from customers who don't want to print internally anymore, they're going to give you beautiful, files that are all, clearly identifiable. They usually tend to give you really bad files. And so what's nice is we have a tool called Ready PDF, used extensively throughout, especially our CAC. People talk about this all the time. And what this product does is it takes in PDFs, and it's an industrial PDF engine. So it fixes things like it fixes all the fonts. It can do font replacements, as we just mentioned. It can adjust color. It can downsample images. And I'll show you some other obfuscation, some security features as well. So it's a great product. We're just going to touch on this a little bit. Won't go through all. I have a whole deck, if you know me, I have that. But I thought I would just touch on a couple of things that Ready PDF does. And so this was a customer, actually a partner that Pat and I work with, and they have all these beautiful golden jobs, from brochures and transactional and books and such. And so they took Ready PDF and ran all of their existing jobs through that they print off at trade shows and such. And with 100% fidelity from beginning to end, still got those rip speeds way down, cut the file sizes almost in half, fixed all the fonts, adjusted all the colors, and of course, fix the image sizes as well. So because if you send a 1200 DPI image to a printer, it's only going to print at the highest DPI it can possibly print, right? So we can shrink everything down and make this all run much more efficiently. And so again, we test files, we send files often to Maggie and Hanson. And Maggie, you use this right in your demo center when you get all kinds of test files in from all over.
Yeah, 100%. We use it for every proof of concept job we test on our printers. It's become a very, very useful tool, not only for my company, but for our customers as well, because they're able to go back and find out potential issues with a file that are potentially or in reality slowing down production and preventing SLAs from being met and from mail getting out the door. So we've been using this, I think, Miriam, for at least 2 years in our corporate headquarters in Massachusetts. So we're big proponents of this. And this concept of having perfect PDFs, I think, is something that we all know is really not an accurate reading of this. So we use it all the time. It's been really, really helpful, not just for us, but to my customers.
Yeah, one big thing, of course, is because you have the color inkjets, we can actually force things like use K instead of CMY. So images will be crisper, barcodes will be crisper, microlines will be crisper, etc. So lots of benefits here, and just wanted you to know briefly about Ready PDF. It also built into the system is a really great reporting tool. So whatever PDF you put in, you can get a report out. So show me all the different optimizations that happened. And also there might be additional ones. And so we've had this for many years. I actually personally ran this one years ago on one of our partner, who's XMPie. They have campaign software, which is great. So we often gang those jobs together, then shrink it down with Ready PDF. And the green kind of shows you examples how much things were shrunk down and all the different optimizations that we had. And so as you can see, we have tons of tabs, how many images, how much color was used, how many fonts were used, all this. So the good news is, because this is just a report without any confidential information really, drop this report into any AI engine. And you can write your own prompt. What do you want to know about this report? Tell me the problems, tell me the fonts, tell me specifically about the fonts. And you can actually give this back to your customer. So Maggie sends this back, right? Along with the file to say, here's the optimizations that were done on the files you sent over. And so oftentimes people didn't even know that they had a lot of extraneous information in those files that a designer had put in at some point. Again, we can get those out and then also show you how to make your files better, hopefully, going forward. And so, and many of you here who are coming to the conference also use this product and may not be aware that as of the last version, this just runs on your desktop or your laptop. And so there's no coding at all. You simply drop a file into a directory, you pick a template configuration, and out it comes the other side. So very, very simple to use. Again, we use this extensively. Hanson, you use this all the time as well. Anything you wanted to add about the benefits of Ready PDF?
I think Ready PDF is my go-to in your suitcase of tools. It's one of the easiest things for clients to be able to wrap their mind around when we go and figure out, like, if we have, I have clients call me and go, my machine's clutching. Can you take a look at this file? Everything came out and it looked like it was fine. We run it through Ready PDF and we find out that, we've got transparencies. We've got that are causing clutching. We've got, 2 million fonts in there and we're using 10. So there's a lot of great features from Ready PDF, and this desktop version has made it so client services can run files through, because I think we all know that there is no one type of PDF. They're being made through Microsoft and all kinds of different PDF makers. So there isn't a good way to make sure that everything you need is in there and that it's working properly. So this is one of my favorite go-to tools for our clients and to start like getting in the door and starting to work automation.
Definitely. Thank you. And so the next product that also is super beneficial, especially for print and mail environments, is I think Pat called herself a Swiss Army knife. Well, Pat's equivalent to Solimar is a product called Rubica. And so Rubica has about 30 interesting modules. And so this slices and dices PDF files. And so I'll show you some examples of why would you want to do this. And so I'll show you a couple of things on address cleansing and how we pull information out. But again, this can fix everything in post composition, so you don't have to go back to composition to fix applications or move things around or change things. And we're going to show you some ways this has been super beneficial and also huge cost savings, time savings on some of these. And so I've presented at the BCC User Conference a few years now, and last year, actually 2 years ago, or a couple of years ago, it was state of Colorado. Last year, it was RevSpring. I presented with Eric. They both do some of the same functionalities. But one of the core things that many of our customers do, and by many, I mean probably hundreds, is simply being able to gang jobs together and have Rubica, our indexing engine, pull those addresses out of the PDF file, make a nice CSV, push it against BCC software, pull in a cleansed and sorted address, plus we can push out bad addresses. So if you're able to not print those, sometimes you still have to print them, different requirements. But if you cannot print those, you can send the customer back to say, hey, these addresses are undeliverable. And so again, you can get the IMB. Now it's a nice cleansed and sorted application that can actually go out into the mail, better postal savings, etc. And what Eric talked about last year was all of those undeliverables, if they actually do get printed, when they get returned, they go into secure destruction. And so they don't actually get returned to him. He just gets a manifest. So, I mean, there's all kinds of other benefits once you start using all of these great PDF tools. I'm sorry, the PDF tools from even the USPS. And so another application, of course, part of Rubica is householding. So the ability to take common mail that might be going to the same person or the same household and put it into one envelope. And so some of this is kind of preference based as well. But again, huge cost savings, hard to program on the front end, but easy to do with some smart indexing. And so again, less envelopes, better mail that goes out. There might be a preference like, hey, can we put you and your spouse's mail into the same envelope? And if you say yes, then again, they'll be able to save more money. I'm always trying to make print more valuable and safe to distribute. So, and less costly. Another little side thing that we can do is you can have us trigger to say, for example, do an envelope suppression. So for example, I get everything printed in the mail, but I don't pay anything online. I haven't written a check for a long time. So I pay everything online. So please don't send me the return mail envelope because it's going to go in the recycler. So we can actually help flag those and pull those out again automatically. Very, very easy to do. Another thing that we can do part of Rubica is you can add general or personalized messaging to documents or envelopes. And so what's nice about that is this example here. It's actually something from California. I think it was CA 1096, Pat. But it basically said, if you're sending direct mail, and now there's more and more states, I think Colorado and Illinois are also this, you are required by law to put this lovely 18-point font in place to say this is an advertisement, and you, recipient, are not required to do anything with this. Because many people try to, and often do, scan and put these checks into their bank thinking it's a real check. So causing all kinds of problems. But also you can do this, state of Colorado uses this extensively to put out messaging for different counties. Did they have a fire? Did they have a flood? Whatever. And they'll say, here's where to get help. So what's nice is you can add this in post composition right to a specific area or person or, demographic that might need it, as opposed to going back to composition, trying to retool, who gets what. So again, just a really nice use case of optimizing the mail a bit. And a customer you're going to hear from next week on our panel is a company called Compu-Mail. And so Hanson and team helped them with a couple interesting problems. I'll highlight it and then he could jump on in. But they had a large number of number 10 envelopes. And so they wanted to migrate to one window, a 6x9 envelope. And so they were able to do this with Rubica and some AI code that Hanson and team wrote. Do you want to talk about this a bit, Hanson?
Yeah, this is a great application. Compu-Mail is is located in Buffalo, and they are actually onboarding almost all the tools in the Solimar arsenal. And they brought us this project here where the client had 12 different mail streams, and they had number 10s and 6x9s and 9x12s. And what they wanted to do was consolidate, because they had a quick turn, like a 4-hour turn. So they were dropping files 3 times a day for this client. So what we were able to do was, with a machine learned model, so that it was completely compliant, we went in with an AI machine learned model, and we're able to block out that box down there that you see, so that we could look and see, is there PII that's going to fall in the window? And if there was PII that was going to fall in the window, we could use Rubica to call up a blank page and just have the return address and the client address on there, removing all the PII. So even with adding an additional page, it was still there's still cost savings involved, because they were able to get down to 1 stock of envelopes, the 6x9 for their majority of their work, and the 9x12. And then furthermore, leveraging BCC and grouping, we were able to take those jobs that they had 12 files of 6x9s and now combine them to 1 file of 6x9s representing multiple franchise locations, be able to bill them separately as they needed to be, but run them as one production file that was trackable through the system. So there was a lot of benefits gained from this consolidation. We were able to report back to their MIS, so that with SoloTrack, so we're able to push the production numbers back into the system, and also provide them with a closed loop experience and reporting. So really, this one was a slam dunk, and it was a great project to work on, and we're continuing to develop these types of projects with BCC, Solimar, and RESO tools all together.
Yep, and we have a great blog on this with a detailed diagram if you really wanted to know the nits and gnats of this. But yeah, it was really great. It happened very, very quickly. So that was wonderful. Yep, another customer, many customers use, we're able to our de-imposition module, which is part of Rubica. And so basically what this does is it takes something that's already imposed, like a booklet or a manual or a catalog, for example, and it might look like the top picture, 5, 4, 12, 14, right? Because it's imposed for a press, right, to be going and make it into a booklet. And so what's nice is we can actually make this into a one-up PDF. And so now you can have the whole book or catalog, etc., in one single, continuous sequential order. And so lots of benefits in doing this. Of course, now you can put it online. If it was a catalog, now you can order things online, for example, you can see what it is. People often use this also for reprints, because now it's easy to find that page you wish to reprint, right? And so, but many people also want to go and reimpose this. So put it back into an imposition, because they want to move it to a different printer or a different press. And so take it off of the 40-inch web, and I want to move it over here to a 20-inch or an 18, for example. So this is a way we can reimpose. You're able to move work from one system to another, and just optimize which you currently have. Now, also the other benefit could be like what Mayo Clinic did. So they created all their own content, of course, but they used to make these patient care folders. And so where they'd actually go and, based on the picking ticket and the issues of the customer, go and make them a custom booklet with lots of different pieces, and then mail this to them. And so, of course, as we can all imagine, trying to keep track of pieces and mail and all this was very cumbersome. And so often, of course, you might run out of a piece. These were pre-printed stock, maybe commercially printed, of course. And so really cumbersome. And again, it might even be dated information. Maybe there's information they want to get to you now, but the old brochure had something else in it. So what's nice is they put all of this into Rubica, created a job ticket. So now any information for the patient information gets updated automatically. So the minute there's a new, brochure or page information that replaces something else, basically the library gets updated. And now Rubica creates dynamic, customized, personalized patient booklets based on all that information, and creates one PDF at a time, and then they get printed at third shift. So internally, they moved commercial print in-house, added the personalization, and again, they had room and time available on their third shift, and so now these get printed out much more timely, accurately. These are all paginated with a personalized letter as well. They can add in, healthy eating for, just different challenges people are having. And so this also goes into their Epic system and connects to their scheduling system. So if you need to not drink or eat after a certain time for some reason, you'll have information. If you have an appliance, how to use it, what's the problem, etc. So now the same information has fed other workflows as well. And so what's nice is Mayo doesn't often do case studies, but we did it from the benefit of the patients and especially from the nurses. And so some nurses said, oh, this is so much better. Now we can actually, the patient still gets a booklet and it's online in their portal, and we can talk to them directly about the information as opposed to pull out the orange pamphlet or pull out the yellow pamphlet. So anyway, just another use case example of what was beneficial to them. And so also what we have is the ability to see everything that's going on. And so we can give you basically a visibility dashboard. And so the ability to see every job as it's reached, where it is in the process, is it in printing, etc. And so this is actually a little screenshot of one of our customers where they can make little thumbnails, see what's in printing right now. To the left here, this little picture kind of shows it can run ink and media usage as well. So this is something through what's called a JDF. So JDF is like a wrapper that goes around a PDF file and can actually send information for the printer itself. You can get all kinds of alerts, and the customers can get alerts as well, like, hey, we're waiting for you to approve this document, or hey, there's a problem with this printer. And so anyway, it's a great system. It's called SolaTrack. Hanson briefly touched on it. And so again, the ability to track every job, but every piece of every job is now built into this as well. And so super beneficial. Again, lots of ways to be able to see what's in process. We love to go to Inkjet Summit and say, who would like to see right now what's going on in your factory? I mean, you might not want to see it, but it's probably better than someone avoiding your phone call. So, but you can see everything that's going on. And what's nice is we started with the production visibility. We started with small screen. So this is a web application. And so this is all skinnable, for example. And so you can put your own logo, whatever that might be, and it's all secure with single sign-on. So can I find a certain job? Can I view a job? Do I have permission to view a job? Can I see all the alerts, what's going on? And even what the printer is doing, status updates as well. So with that too, you get a skinnable due out schedule. So what's due out today, tomorrow, what's past due might be things on hold. So with a SQL backend, you don't lose jobs anymore. Everything's plugged in. And now we're waiting for someone to approve this job. And then soon we're going to have another little box right here that's going to be watching what's coming in more for forecasting. So if you have daily work, weekly work, monthly work, even ad hoc stuff, you want to keep track of all that. So that's sort of the next arm that's going to be coming onto this system, which will be really helpful. So, and that nice thing to know is these are all included in the product. You can use these or not. I'm always showing people and they're like, oh, I totally forgot that was there. So because the system actually gives you great reporting as well, kind of built in. And now for the big guys, they use this product, bigs, I mean like Donnelly and Conduit and the big printers for digital, to gang jobs together in intelligent batching. And so doing things like digital commingling. So, having all of your first class mail, 1 to 2 ounce US bound can actually go into queues. And maybe it'll even get distributed to different print centers based on closest point of delivery. So you can do all kinds of enhancements to your mail to have, again, drop times based on times. And anyway, intelligent batching is great. And what's nice is with smart indexing, you don't ever have to worry you're going to put the wrong information in the wrong envelope, for example. So again, lots of case studies and videos on this, but just wanted you to be aware that this is also available if you wanted to batch your work. And how we're integrated, this is SolaTrack integrated with BCC, is it goes, again, now the USPS is integrated into this, so you can actually, your customer service can look up a job. Did it get printed? Did it get mailed? Did it get received? As opposed to some customers would go and actually do reprints. Hey, I didn't get this piece of mail, and it would trigger a reprint request, which could be, again, cumbersome, right? And so where this actually tracks, again, every piece. So was this mailed? Was it delivered? Is it coming back? And so again, right in your own system, you can run reports dynamically, or you can just do a search and see exactly where are those files. And as I mentioned too, with the JDF integration, you can see how much ink and media you use in every job and every device. And so that might even help you going forward. Which printer should I print this on, for these new applications coming in? So some people use this in the rear as well, like we talked about recently on one of our CAC calls, that many people have like let's say a 15% color coverage acceptable in an SLA because it's transactional. And some people saw huge spikes And they went back to the customer and said, why are you at 32%? They said, oh, we started putting full color graphics, on different statements and such. I said, well, we'll have to charge you for that. And of course, I said, no, take them off. we don't want to pay anymore. Anyway, so very common, just good to know kind of what's in there. And then also part of the system is the ability to have proof and approvals. So even think about this could be a forward-looking, customer-facing, hey, customer, please approve this job or all of these pieces of jobs, and actually give them a little interface to do that with. So instead of getting emails, hey, do these diverts, pull these jobs or whatever, you can choose to give them the ability to pull the job or the individual pieces of those jobs. And again, just very, very beneficial there. And so some of the customers that are doing this, we have a couple I pulled out, Maggie, that I thought you might want to speak to briefly. So ECSI, do you want to talk briefly about this customer?
Sure. So ECSI Heartland is actually based in Pennsylvania, and they handle, I think it's close to 70% of student loan processing. So they have very finite production times, and everything they're doing is going out into the mail. So we were able to partner with, I think this is actually one of our first or second partnerships with Solimar. And Solimar was able to help us save on 2 data stream conversions. So they were originally pulling all that information off the web, converting it to PDF, and then converting it to PostScript. And because Solimar has enabled us, and also our printers are JDF compliant, RISO printers, we were able to bypass all of the PostScript tray calls and all those sort of older legacy functions and move them directly into a PDF format. So we not only save time on the data conversions, I think we saved literally hours a day, but we also were able to bypass PostScript files, which PDFs obviously are a better format for printing. They're better, more often than not, when they're properly composed. And so we were able to bypass that lag time in the running of the PDF files. So we were able to speed up their production time, and we actually reduced the amount of printers they had thanks to Solimar. And they met all of their metrics in January, something that would have taken them 3 shifts a day for at least 3.5 weeks. They got it completed in under 2. So from a speed and production standpoint, we were winning. And we actually also were able to add on additional features of Solimar that they are now benefiting from. And like every installation we have, we were able to find more places that we can improve. And it's just been great for us and great for our customers, more importantly.
Yeah, what's not smart is they have 6 identical printers. We can just do round robin, just keep all the printers going, and without anyone having to manually decide or do things like that. So, and then also Intact, which we have in the US and Canada, has a somewhat similar, that they had AFP as well as part of their input stream. And they actually pulled work back from a bureau that they were not happy with, that wasn't getting work out on time, and they weren't happy with the quality from what I recall. And so they pulled this back in, and Mark Fallon actually helped us with this one as well. So
He did. Yeah. So this was another great experience for us, just because it's always nice to look smarter than you are in front of your customers, right? So we were able to, again, they were completely outsourced, but we had a champion at Intact. And some of the things I just mentioned outside of just the functionality that we were able to do a file conversion. We were able to add onto the document, et cetera, et cetera. And then to be able to send those jobs effectively to our printers and then onto PB inserters and out the door. But the thing that really struck us was Solimar does the install and training remotely. And this gentleman at Intact cannot say enough about how effective that was, how efficient it was, and how much he learned. So somebody in management position really took this project on and really, really embraced it. And so it gave us, a lot of information back that was so useful. So it was a very successful project. They're running great. They're hitting all their SLAs, all their mails is going out the door.
And what was great too is that they have one system, one SoloTrack drives 2 sites. So it drives their site outside of Boston and their site in Connecticut. And so because they're on the same, DMZ. So anyway, that was nice. And again, their backup site works great. Everything is, and this was up and running in like 45 days. They had a 90-day window and we were up early, which was so great. And then some of the things that I think this was Robert who shared. So right from the beginning, 90% was automated, like instantly. And then they had to go and kind of retool some little sticky jobs, but everything just went from
Along the
very
way.
manual, yeah, right into nice automation. And then of course the whole goal here is 100% on time, right? So that's what they had to do, and they did it in a very short period of time. So that was kind of a fun one to kind of share. And so with Printing United coming up, Maggie, I threw in a couple slides for you. One on your
Great.
micro extension. I thought I would just mention it here because it's such a cost savings strategy. You want to just mention
Yeah.
what this is that they'll see in our booth?
Sure. Sure, absolutely. So at our booth in Printing United, and actually we have a beta test going on that we're wrapping up in Atlanta. So this is a Riso Micro Express. It goes on our single engine unit, and this allows you to print up to 3 lines of micro, as well as printing full color documents on the Riso printer. So we were looking at the landscape over the past couple of years. We dabbled in micro about 15 years ago. We had a much bigger device, but we've really been getting a lot of feedback from our customers that micro is becoming, or is still, a very important feature to have. Some customers run a lot of micro and have dedicated machines. Some have a little. Some of our customers are bidding on contracts that they need a solution. And for us at Riso, we're always interested in creating accessories that add value to our printers and our print engines. So this has been very well received. We're very excited. We're hard launching it at Print United. And again, this allows you to not only print in micro, you can print everything in color and black, and then just run micro lines. So you're going to save a ton of money by doing it. Very effective, very efficient. And as you can see, it has a very small footprint. So happy to share more information on that as we move forward.
Yes, absolutely. And what else we're doing is adding pantographs to this. So Rubica supports the ability to put a pantograph, or like a secret veil inside of a PDF. And so this used to be used mostly on custom paper, very expensive paper you had to buy. And so now this can be on white paper. We can actually put these veils inside and create what's called a pantograph. And so when you try to make a copy of this, you can see void, you can see nothing. We might just block out a certain area. And so Pat and Hanson, this is kind of your project as well. I get you involved in all these because we have to do some testing ahead of time. Anything you wanted to add about using pantographs?
I think we're looking at, being able to do it with the PDFs and looking at electronic media as well. And it's an interesting project because each DFE is different. So using the JDF wrapper is going to be really key for us to be able to meet the needs of all the different types of devices that are out there.
I think it's also important to understand how you're currently accomplishing the task. Right. And I think that's something we always want to know. Are you currently using paper with the pantographs embedded, or are you using a tool that maybe you wrote yourself or you acquired, free on the internet, to try and do these things on your own? The thing that becomes absolutely critical, Marianne, is what you mentioned. It's the testing, and it's something that you and Hanson and Deepak and I have had long conversations about, and with Maggie as well, because the DFEs are different. How they rip an image makes a difference, and where a pantograph layer appears in the PDF layers becomes important as well. So it pays to pay an expert to get this done so that you have a long, happy pantograph life.
Yes. And there are some really expensive services out there, but once you get this locked in, it should be very inexpensive. This is a simple module. We simply add these in, and hopefully JDF can even rotate different images is our goal. We'll have this running in the Riso booth as well. So
if somebody tells you that you have to pay for every image to do pantographs, you're talking to the wrong people.
Yeah, I would definitely say call Pat, reach out to Pat McGrew if you're interested in this or need this. Because again, people still want checks. They're very, very valuable. So we can help them make them more secure. And then also I wanted to mention that even though we're talking about mail, there's also this whole concept of inbound mail. So how do you manage all of the mail that comes into your factory or into your company? And so many companies struggle with this. They can't read handwriting. They don't know where a document goes. They don't know what doctor this goes to, etc. So what's nice is more and more people are using an inbound automation process where everything gets scanned to PDF with OCR. You put an index template from Solimar over that, and we could help not only put that in an archive, but then route it to the right person or the right department even. So if this is something you're interested in and looking at or struggling with, definitely reach out to us. There's a lot of benefits here as well to know what else is coming. And just briefly want to talk about Hanson a bit and the professional services you offer. So briefly, I'll hand it over a sec. So we work with Hanson and his team. I've known that we've worked for them together with them more than 20 years. They know our whole product line, but not far beyond Solimar. You work with lots of other solutions as well. So you want to maybe
I
describe
started when I was
briefly?
10 years old. Me and Mary
That's right.
Ann started on the
Yeah,
playground at 10.
we were 10 at the playground.
Yeah. So I've been in the industry, like I said in my introduction, for about 30 years. So we've seen a lot of different things, Xerox, VIP. We've done a lot of transactional business retooling. And one of the things that I find, or I found frustrating as an operations manager, was we would buy software and it would be the software was great, but we just didn't have the time to put it in, or my team was too busy, or one person would become an expert. It just didn't push out to the rest of the team. So what Hanson 360 tries to do, and what we do, is we go in and we set these different projects up so that the architecture is there. We document everything. We work with your team as a team so that they can get these pieces in and make their jobs run better and easier and be able to onboard more work. So we really work ourselves out of a job by putting these systems in. And part of the other thing that we do a little differently, I think, is with our experience in all these different areas, is we try to really look at what you already have for a mix. So we're not looking to have you buy a $250,000 everything, all the bells and whistles solution. We like to buy these things modularly and get them in place, get it running and working, and then let's get the next piece and put that in. So that as we're building onto the systems, nothing's shelfware. It's all being exercised, used, and we work with best-in-class partners. So BCC is one of our partners that we work with. RISO, I love the RISO equipment. One of the things I love about it from an operations standpoint is it's cold fusion. So it's super easy to run, super easy to fix, great uptime. So really for us, it's been the last decade for us has been really an exciting time because there's so many different things coming out, and being able to bring all different softwares and different pieces together with APIs, and now obviously leveraging AI. So we have our own little AI studio as well, with a group that works on machine learning models for different clients on different projects. So it's really it's been a great time working with Solimar and BCC and RISO and Pat. So it's this is the part of my journey working that I've enjoyed the most. All
Absolutely.
these
Yeah, and often, and when you come see us, if you're coming to the live conference next week, Hanson and Deepak and Maggie and I will all be there. And so let's talk about doing an assessment, or what our assessments entail, because we'd love to understand your current state and your desired state, and then make a staged approach to get you to more efficiencies and help you, save money. Last couple brief.
So sometimes
Sorry.
there's things that you never even thought about doing that we're able to say, well, why don't you try this module? So that's the benefit. We've worked with 100 different companies over the last 20 years.
Yep, and usually it starts with fixing your PDFs. Usually those are in bad shape.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so next week, which is fun, we'll be in Nashville, and we have a presentation that's going to be not actually product at all, but it's going to be kind of a different, kind of a fun way to look at your environment from a different lens. And then we will have a customer panel after the break, and you're going to hear from Compu-Mail, ABT, and Johnson and Quinn. So we'll have also all 3 advisory council members, and we actually have case studies with all of them as well. Of course, then we have an ING conference. We'll be at Printing United, just letting you know kind of what's coming up. And we have our user conference this year in Toronto on October 14th. And I do invite people who are not yet customers. If you're interested, let me know. Again, you'll get this deck and you can let us know. Again, we'll be in the RISO booth at Printing United. They'll have their Valises as well. We're typically called the easy button. So our stuff is the easy part. It's figuring out what the customer needs and who needs what, and that's sort of the harder part. But anyway, it's a great relationship, very successful, and Also, if you're curious, jump on our website, or if you're a customer, jump into our SUO, which is our online learning platform. We have a little chat bot we've worked on for over 2.5 years now called Diego. He is fully educated on the industry, on everything Solimar. He speaks many languages. You can talk to him or you can type. Very smart guy. I use him all the time. And so give him a whirl if you'd like. And again, I thank you for your time today. We like to say we try to be best in breed for hardware, software, and professional services. We don't have all the answers, but we have a lot of answers. And what I can't answer, we all go to Pat too. So most importantly. And so with that, Brandon, I'm curious if we had, I think some people submitted some questions ahead of time, and maybe we even had some in this chat today. I can't see anything. So
Wow, that was
a whirlwind,
so much
right?
information. I mean, in the most amazing way, because even myself, I worked for BCC a decade ago, for those who don't know. And so coming back 10 years later, it's incredible how the industry has shifted, and the amazing things that everyone has produced in order to make customers' lives and the overall industry more efficient. So it was very educational, even for myself. So thank you to the four of you.
Good.
Thank you very much. We don't have any questions in chat. We have a bunch of people still with us. If you are an active Solimar customer, or if you are working with Solimar, or if you have heard of Solimar, put an X in chat or something like that. I know there's a bunch of people potentially that are here that are first-time information exchange attendees as well. So you had not had the benefit of engaging with Solimar at past information exchange events. So please put an X in chat there. I do have some pre-submitted questions. I'll kind of go through a couple of them because I think they're really valuable. So right off the bat, I think a really good one is, where does SolarTrack tracking overlap with informed visibility, and where does it not? There are people who are concerned about paying for it twice. So how does that navigated?
Well, you still need informed delivery, and then what we do, it just integrates through an API into SolarTrack. So we actually rely on your software, and then we're just the visibility arm, so they don't have to go into a different system or a different window to go find something. So there's not really, it's very much of just an integration.
So you talked a lot about PDF optimization and where RAPs kind of choke on these. How do we even tell how much of our slowdown is a file problem versus other parameters, other conditions?
Just assume that it is. That's a place to start.
We can test files. We test files too, like our partners can test files for you. Oftentimes if a printer is choking, it typically is an input. That's kind of the most common problem, unless you're using like bad paper or something that the printer is not happy with. But it almost always is a file issue, and it's really hard to see. PDFs might look fine on the screen, but under the covers, it might just be a big old mess. And so we can fix things that are, again, hard to find without some sophisticated tools. And you don't want to touch things like PDF can opener. Just don't, you'll break everything. So we can fix things, again, that the naked eye can't find easily. And you can run a report, and the report will show you everything that's in there. And here's where you can go make some adjustments. Anything else you can add, Pat? Go.
It's often shocking how much churns up in the report of something that you think is just fine. The one project that we worked on with Marianne in the early days of Ready PDF, where we were looking at transaction documents and direct mail documents and kind of an array of things that looked like they were printing just fine. And yet we thought that they might not be printing at full rated speed, because we were looking, your brain just says, wait a minute, why did this take so long to run, right? And when we ran it, we discovered all manner of buried fonts, subsetted fonts. We found all manner of images that were really the wrong size for the target device that was causing the RIP to struggle. And if we just take a couple steps back and remember that these print files are data, right? They're data streams. And when a 1 and a 0 are out of order, right? Or when the RIP has to struggle to figure out what the instructions are meant to be generating, that's slowing you down. And it might be milliseconds on a page, but if you're running 1 million pages, those milliseconds add up really, really quickly. And just running this report is so beneficial to the overall workflow. Folks at RevSpring shared with us in their case study a situation where they were getting files in from a big provider of insurance information into print and mail providers, and it was PDF, and the view versions viewed okay. It was hard to tell if there was really an issue, but when they would go to the very, very, very fast printers DFE, they choked it, and they watched the press just slow down. Running Ready PDF exposed to them how many broken fonts, subsetted fonts, bad images were in there. So they've changed their workflow protocol so that now they pre-flight with Ready PDF as the file arrives. And if that file really isn't what it should be, they start a program to work with that inbound customer's work to see if they can fix it. But meanwhile, now they know what they have to do to fix it, and they get it through, and they're not slowing their presses down. You're spending a couple million on a press. You do not want it to be slow.
Mhm.
Well, and if you run into a file like that, Maggie or I are more than happy to run one through our version and see what we see with it. So you can kind of kick the tires and see if it truly is the PDF and what the problems might be. Because clients will always tell you that this is perfect. I just ran it out of my system, no problem. And it looks good. It's just enormous.
Well, Pat, I appreciate that elaboration because there was a couple of questions about if I don't purchase new hardware, what kind of capacity could I achieve? Increasing
You can get a
capacity could
lot
I
back.
achieve?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
If you
really
look at that,
what
if
you
you go back to
emphasized.
that chart that Marianne showed in the beginning, where you show the way that the files got managed into a manageable situation for the presses, and these are very, very fast presses we were testing on. It really changed the capacity for those situations, and it was remarkable.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I thank everybody very much for coming. Thank you, Mary Ann. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Hanson. Thank you, Pat. You guys are a breath of illumination in our legacy postal industry, direct mail printing industry. So I thank you so much for your time. Mary Ann, I'll pass it over to you. Do you have any other final thoughts you want to leave everyone with?
I'll just again say thank you so much to our partners. Thanks to you, Brenda, for pulling all this together. I know firsthand, me and Jonathan, the conference we will put together, and it's a lot of work. And you're doing a virtual before a live, which is also bonus. Look forward to seeing everybody who's coming next week in Nashville. And again, I'll make sure you guys have this deck. I'll make sure there's lots of links in this as well. And we're all here to help and talk. And I just appreciate your time so much. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. And we'll see you on the next session.
Sounds great.
Thanks,
Have a
everybody.
great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.